Alien, Blade Runner, Gladiator, Black Hawk Down. These are just a few of the iconic films directed by Ridley Scott. His career over the last few decades is marked by movies of incredible quality. He's had a few misses here and there, sure, but overall his contribution to cinema cannot be ignored. That, unfortunately, is what makes the topic of today's video his arrogance. His most recent movie, The Last Duel, was a complete financial failure. So far, it has grossed $27.4 million against a $100 million production budget. That's a nice clean number for us to point at and say that The Last Duel lost 73% of its budget, or 72.6% if we feel like being generous. Of course, when you realize that production budgets don't include marketing costs, the loss for the studio is actually even greater. So where does the arrogance I mentioned come in? Not in the production of the film, but in Ridley Scott's reaction to the devastating box office losses that everybody involved in the production now has to weather. On November 22nd of this year, stand-up comedian Mark Maron published an episode of his What the Fuck podcast featuring Scott. Though they spoke at length about Scott's career as a whole, he had the following to say about the failure of The Last Duel. I think what it boils down to, what we've got today, are the audiences who were brought up on these fucking cell phones. The millennials do not ever want to be taught anything unless you're told it on a cell phone. This is a broad stroke, but I think we're dealing with it right now with Facebook. This is a misdirection that has happened where it's given the wrong kind of confidence to this latest generation, I think. Wow. There's let's unpack there. To start with, I think it's just a weird angle to blame the concept of cell phones. If you think people need to be told something through their cell phone for it to sink in, just use that. If it truly is so important, make it a marketing tool. Speaking completely anecdotally here, neither three friends I asked or myself saw any ads or trailers for this movie on YouTube, Reddit, or Twitch. Some of the biggest websites where people go to spend their time and are extra susceptible to advertising. Talking about the advertising, Riddle Skittles also said, Disney did a fantastic promotion job. The bosses loved the movie, I was concerned it was not for them. End quote. As I said, I think the promotion for the film was lacking, but obviously I'm not part of the studio, so I don't have the numbers or what their goals for promotion were. I did some scrounging to see what kind of advertising metrics I could find to see if there was that strong promotion for the movie. The initial trailer from July has a pretty impressive 7 million views. But let's break down the numbers on that just a bit. Looking at only the US, the movie brought in $10 million. The Last Duel is clearly not a kids movie, so I looked at the adult ticket price for the world's biggest theater chain, AMC, which is $13.69. Dividing the movie's domestic box office gross by adult ticket price comes out to 788,000 people seeing the movie. Assuming everybody who saw the trailer was American, that's just over 1/10 of trailer views turning into actual tangible income for the film. I know I made lots of assumptions and estimates and all that. It wasn't an exact science, but I used the numbers I had. I don't expect every person that sees a movie trailer to go and see the actual film. But this does provide our next point of interest. The same official YouTube channel released an extended scene from the film 3 months later in October, just a few weeks before the film was released. That second upload still has yet to crack the 300,000 views meter to this day, let alone before the movie came out. That to me is a clear mark of declined interest in The Last Duel right there. Lots of movies have made massive profits this year. However, they're all comedies, action movies, sci-fi, or some mixture of above. Maybe Ridley Scott is onto something when he mentioned that the big movies aren't teaching people as much nowadays. I say that as somebody that eagerly awaits most Marvel movies and was extremely excited to see Godzilla vs. Kong. The big, popular movies of today are not super cerebral mind-benders. Whether or not they should be is a matter I'll leave up to your own personal taste. However, it's his attitude that got me to make this video. Ridley's notion that he was somehow owed these ticket sales and robbed of them only because cell phones have robbed people of critical thinking. It ignores that, barring some major exceptions, the historical drama genre is a relatively low-grossing genre. On top of that, COVID cases are on the rise again in some places, and going to theaters isn't always available or desirable right now, so people won't go for a movie unless they really, really want to see it. Hello, Spider-Man. Ridley Scott is 83 years old. He's been around a long time and made multiple genuine masterpieces, the likes of which most filmmakers would kill to have even one of under their belts. However, this seems like an old man wanted to yell at clouds instead of adapting to the market. That's the unfortunate struggle of being a creator. Frequently, maybe even more often than not, you have to choose between what you want to make and what your audience wants you to make. Both options are valid, but if you choose the first one, it isn't fair to hold it against the audience when you made your choice. In a world where so many talented and famous directors are making so many different movies and blitzing advertisement for them all over the place, sometimes name recognition just isn't enough anymore.